Corey from Brrraaains A Head-Banging Life with Shakey Sue of the Hellfreaks.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you so much. Like, I'm sitting at home now for, I think it's the fourth week. And slowly it got a bit boring, but I'm fine. I'm like totally fine.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how have you been coping with obviously the state of the world, your country as well?
Um, like, the thing is that we still are allowed to go to the street, but just with like restrictions. So we need to have a good reason to go out. And I mean, I personally belong to the lucky ones because I also have a job beside a band, and I'm able to do the job from home. And I know that many people from Hungary are not able to do that, and many of them just lost their job.
Ah,
So this part is like this is really bad. I mean, you can really feel it in the air that people have like problems because of that. They can't pay their bills, and it's just like it's just like 1 month since we have all this struggle. So that makes me a bit afraid.
yeah,
Because they don't really get any help. But that's why I think that I'm like super lucky because I still have my job and I can work from home. So at least that's fine. And I mean, the only thing that's changed for me that I can go out. So of course I miss the air. And personally, my flat is like super dark. Like people don't know, but it took us so long till we found a time we could do this video so that you can see me in the daylight.
yeah. It doesn't help that, I mean, our country, the UK, is very, very similar in regards to the restrictions. You know, you can go out, but you got to have a good reason, supposedly for exercise, and non-essential travel, like, is banned and stuff like that. But I'm in the same boat. My job is classed as a key worker's job, so I have to go to work. It's a requirement. So for me, it's almost like beyond going out and finding the world a little bit quieter, particularly when driving,
Yeah.
it's very much business as usual for me. And that's odd,
Okay.
you know?
Yeah, got it.
Yeah. So that's basically what's keeping you busy then, working from home.
Like, I mean, working from home, work job is just the thing I do to get money to make a living of it. But I have now more time because, normally I'm traveling like 2 hours per day. And now I don't have that. And that's why I'm doing like a lot more things for the band. So we started already to write new songs. We already, this week we will record the second demo of our new song. And I'm doing a lot of more for social media. I'm doing like just today I will do a live Q&A video for my fans that I've never done. So there are like a lot of things that I always said like, oh, I don't have time for this, but there is no excuse like that anymore. So I'm doing these kind of things, which is just quite cool because there are always a list of things that I should do and I've never done, and now I can go and tick the list point by point. So I definitely have like I personally I see the positive sides for me, for my life, to handle this quarantine thing. But of course, on the other side, it's also hard, to put all the energy and power and time into it without knowing when we are able to go to the road again.
Yeah.
Because basically, I mean, of course, all the tours and all the gigs were canceled for all the bands this spring, and I think also for the summer season, I don't think that there will anything coming. I mean, I don't think that the festivals can happen. But, even in fall and winter time, we will have the problem that all the bands that had to like cancel their tours, they want to do the tours and the gigs in the second part of the year. And there is just a limited amount of clubs and a limited amount of possibilities. And so I think that I'm not sure that if we will have any gigs this year. And of course, this is like really, really heartaching because I love to go on the stage. It's just what I love to do, and I love to go on the road. And, that's like my biggest motivation when I'm doing all the stuff because I love being on tour. But yeah, now like this kind of motivation is missing, but whatever, like there will be next year. So somehow it will go on.
Aside from like so not being let out to go on tour, it's clearly not harming you creatively then, as you said, you're still working away with the band.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, especially as I'm really bad when it comes to lyrics that should be about like the happy and the positivity sides of life. You know, I'm like, my lyrics are quite dark, and I'm much more into writing lyrics. I mean, I know it doesn't sound really healthy, but I write much better lyrics when I don't feel good. And I mean, I don't need like the biggest drama in my life, but like days when I feel like I'm closed in my four walls, and people around me are losing their jobs, and there is like, yeah, like the usual hope is missing in the air. That's like for me a good motivation to write. So it was a long time ago that for me it was so easy to write the right lines, you know, because normally I'm really not the kind who just sit down and write the lyrics in an hour and is like satisfied with that. Normally I'm like working on it for actually for weeks till I'm happy with that. But now it's like it goes much quicker.
Yeah.
At least that's good for that.
So would you call yourself a bit of a perfectionist then? You say you spend time, weeks and weeks on doing it. Is that because you can't just put it down? And there's no one to tell you, look, that's fine, you don't need to do any more to it?
Oh, well, that's quite cool because my very best friend, she's a really good makeup artist. But beside that, by the way, you can check her because her work is called Makeup Brutalism. And she's not doing usual makeup. She's doing she's breaking the limits of makeup. Like, it's hard to say that you have to check her. Whatever. She's a really, really creative person around me. And beside all of her talent, like, I think that her biggest talent is writing poems. She's a really good writer, but she's not really using it. But that's why she's the one who I always send. She's the only one who is honored by me like that way. I always send her my lyrics like, look, I think like I'm happy with it or I'm not happy with it. What do you think? What should I change? Do you think people understand what I wanted to say? Or is it just like a too big chaos and no one understands it? And like she's the one who helps me through these. And so for me, a lyric is done when I think that I said what I wanted to say. It's understandable, but it's not too direct. And if she, Esther, always also says that she thinks that it's good enough. So these are the two things that have to work, me and her. And then if we are both agreed that it's done, then it's done.
So she's almost the only one other than yourself that you trust to be able to say that's done.
Yeah, totally. Like no one else, really. She's the only one.
It's good that you've got at least one person for it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
2020 did start off well for you. Release of the latest album, Gourd on the Run. Now, for me, it was a wicked combo of punk spirit with rock and roll energy. Is that how you would describe it?
I like to describe it. It's punk rock mixed with a hint of modern metal. Mm-hmm. That's what I like to say about it, because I think, especially in the instrumental part, there are some heavy metal riffs, but on the other side, there is like the punk rock attitude in the music. So that's why I said that it's a mix of it. And when it comes to like telling what kind of genre we play, it always makes me crazy. Like, honestly, I would love to say it's rock music.
Yeah.
Because it's a mix of a lot of stuff. And, for us as a band, it was also a goal to do music which doesn't fit to one genre. Mm-hmm. I always wanted to have like the freedom to do whatever I want. People who follow our work for long know that we did not start like that. We started as a psychobilly band. And maybe exactly because of that we start in a really small kind of subculture. That's what really felt to me. It was really a really choking feeling, there was no space for creativity and stuff like that. So that's why that's why I totally decided like to do music, which is not fitting directly in one genre that is like a wider one. And I for me it's still important to have the freedom to add songs, like for example the song Tabby on our new album, which is like, I don't know what kind of genre is that. I have no idea. I don't know really, but I just we wrote the song and I felt like it's good, it's great, I love it, and I want to have it on our album. And I don't want to be like, I don't want to sit again and say, oh, but it's not the genre that we officially make, so we can't put it on the album. Like, oh,
Yep.
yeah, I really don't like that.
No, and absolutely, you're not alone, as you say that. It's most bands don't want to label themselves, because once you're labeled, you get stuck in a subculture,
Yeah.
and that's where you are now put. But then on the flip side, someone's never heard of you. There has to be something that grabs them.
Yeah, I mean, of course it has his, I don't know, let's say dark side, especially when it comes to booking, because it's really often that, I mean, I don't want to point my finger on them, but I know that often they don't really have the time to listen what kind of music we do. And then, I don't know, they book us for a punk show to support a big punk band. And then they are saying like, oh, but it's like, I mean, you're punk, but you're also a bit metal and you're also hard rock. And I'm like, yeah, we're a mix of everything. So I don't know, when people are saying like, oh, but you don't really fit to that band and to that band. And I'm always reacting like, okay, so to which band do we fit? And if we don't fit to any band, isn't that fucking awesome? Isn't that meaning that we're doing something unique? So yeah, it has its positive and negative sides, but I mean, at the end, it's just about what feels right to us musicians, and to us, it feels right to do what is the most like the freedom for us, and it's the mix of everything.
And it's not likely that the next Hellfreaks album is going to be a post-black metal album or anything like that. But if you felt like you wanted to do that, you have that freedom.
And I mean, exactly. It's like, I mean, I don't think that, for example, we will do, I don't know, mix it, for example, with ska music, because I'm personally not really into ska music. But never say never. I mean, who knows? Maybe one day I will feel like that. And also, as a vocalist, I'm always finding new things to learn and finding new, how do you say that? Like new type of vocals.
Yeah.
And when I find out something new and it makes me fun, I want to use it. So who knows how this will end up and how this will turn like in the future. You never know that. And I don't want to be one of those who are like forming a new band always after every 3 years, because it doesn't make a sense. I'm building here something up with the Hellfreaks since 10 years. And just because it changed, it doesn't mean that it's not the Hellfreaks.
Yeah, I was about to say, of course, you had that massive reinvention. And really, I guess your last two albums, Astoria and Gourd on the Run, are that evolution of the Hellfreaks.
Yeah.
Was that something that was forced on you, or was it a conscious, right, as this is the direction I want to go in, we want to go in as a unit?
It's more the other way. So we started as a psychobilly band. Yeah. We started with totally other members. They were my close friends. It started just as a fun band. There were no really goals. Just let's do music and see how it turns out, which is, I think, totally normally if you do a band, especially when you're like much younger. And it's really quick turn into something more serious than just a fun band.
Yeah.
And especially that we had the luck to record in the very early ages our music video Boogeyman, which has like 5-6 million views. I don't know, a lot, crazy. A lot. I don't get it why, a lot. And at that time I loved it. At that time I loved the scene, I loved that music, I loved that vibe, I loved everything about it. But that was like 10 years ago, and I changed.
Yeah.
Not just as music listener, because for example I still listen to psychobilly music, but as the years went by, like more and more doors opened, and I felt like that as I said, I'm choked by that genre. Like I couldn't even write the words that I wanted to use because it was not fitting into that music. It was like, we did 2 albums, Hell Sweet Hell and Circus of Shame, in that genre. And I really loved it and enjoyed it. But after the second album, I felt like, okay, now I am personally at the point that I just can't repeat myself. I'm not able to reinvent myself in that genre. And also, I mean, there are like, I could talk about this for ages now, about this topic. So just stop me at the moment, okay, when we should go. So there are like more reasons why I wanted to skip from psychobilly. One is the one that I just said, that it's about the creativity part, that I couldn't reinvent myself. I felt like that I'm not able to do anything new. The second thing, and this is, I know that, for example, the US psychobilly scene is something very different, but here in Europe, it was like, as a band, it was like super ridiculous because we started as a psychobilly band. Everyone in the scene was like pointing our finger that, this is not real psychobilly because, there are 2 directions. There is the old school psychobilly, which is, for me, basically like rockabilly with a wilder lyrics. And then there is the new wave of psychobilly, which is way more punk rock music that I always prefer. But this kind of new wave music was not really accepted by the European scene, or not as accepted as it should be. Or let's say that people who are negative were louder than the people who are positive.
Yep.
So I've listened to that 4 fucking years long. That, you're not real psychobilly. And I was like, okay, then I'm not real psychobilly. I don't care. I just do what I want. And after we decided to do something else, and we did our first album in the punk rock direction, Astoria, the same people said like, you sold yourself because you're not psychobilly anymore. And I'm like, really?
You can't win.
Yeah, I can't do it right.
Yeah.
So this is like one point. The other thing, okay, I'm not sure that I can tell it because of my language barrier, but I tried, okay?
Okay.
So it was Tiger Army toured here in Europe, and I think they had to cancel some shows because of health issues.
Right.
And the biggest psychobilly scene in Europe is definitely in Germany, and I know they canceled gigs in Germany. And a lot of, what I wrote, I don't want to say that this is what happens in the scene. I'm just saying that this is what I saw from my Facebook profile about the scene, what my window saw. So it's important. I don't want to talk like negatively about an average scene. I'm just saying that this is what I saw from my point of view. So, and what I saw, that people were making fun about that the singer of Tiger Army is gay. And I was like, that was wrong in so many points. I'm like, and I'm not the kind of person who needs to, you don't need to have the same opinion about the world that I do. I don't even care if we have, like, I'm really, in that case, I think pretty open-minded. You don't need to have the same opinion about the world that I do, as long as we can talk about it.
Yeah.
That's my point. But there is and it's the same about religion, it's the same about politics. You don't have to have the same opinion. But when it comes to the point that someone is saying that he or she is more worth by DNA, by the color of skin, or by religion and stuff like that, that's for me a totally no-go. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't want to be part of that, because I think that the worth of a human is only limited by the deeds, what you do, how you act, especially how you act by the weaker ones. And it really disgusted me what I saw. Like they were, I don't know how I can say it. They were making fun just because of someone is gay or not gay. And it was like, they use words. German is my second mother language. They use words in German that are totally not acceptable. You know, it was
Yeah.
really for me over the limit. So, and also in the old lineup of the Hellfreaks, I will not say who, but we had someone who turned by the years like that. And you know, if someone is really close to you, you don't really realize that someone is changing, or you don't want to realize it that someone
Yeah.
is changing. You know, you don't want to get it because you know that this is something that can destroy everything. And at the end, it destroyed everything because we were all in the band very open-minded. We all said that, you know, it's really not about politics. It's a it's about respect and stuff like that. And so because of that one person, he really poisoned the band, and we really couldn't handle a lot of situation the right way. And after a while, like we all said, like, okay, now we don't want to continue that. We can't go on with that one member. We can't go on with that genre because it's not making fun anymore. I mean, we're not making a living off the band, so why should
Yeah.
force anything that makes not any sense anymore? So that's why in 2014, we decided to split up, and it was not planned as a just a pause. Do you say it like that? Like we thought that this will be a final end of the
Yeah,
band.
you hadn't scheduled a run and gone, right, that will be our final ever show. Yeah.
Yeah. And after like I don't know, a half year, which was by the way like the hardest half year of my life, because it was really like a breakup from the full music scene, and I had to reinvent myself and find like sense again in my life, and it was a disaster. But somehow I managed it, and I feel like okay, like life will go on. And then after half year, we got an email from Los Angeles, from California, from Ink and Iron Festival, that they would love to book us because they had no idea that we split up.
Oh.
And I forwarded that email to our drummer because I was like, we were really close friends anyway. Just because there was no band, we still talked a lot, and
Yeah.
I forwarded that email to him and said to him like, I can't believe that this is really happening. Like I was dreaming my whole life to tour once in the US, and then when we decided to split up, this happened. It was-
Oh, that's unlucky. But there was nothing you could do, as you said. You've gone through the entire story, and it's a fact it's a mix of creative stalling as much as problems. And what you described, you say you didn't want to force it on an entire scene. It's just what you saw from your window. But that applies to so many subcultures as well within the metal world. You know, look at black metal. That can be an absolute, excuse my language, shit show for horror. The way people behave, and tarnishes a scene.
Yeah. But the story did not end here, luckily. Because then our drummer Rico, he said like, Sue, this was our dream. Should we really give it up just because we had some negative people in our life?
Yeah.
And I was really broken, so I just told him, look, if you find someone, if you find a solution, we can do it. And like after a couple of weeks, he found a new guitar player, he found a new bass player. We agreed that we will follow and use the name The Hellfreaks because we built it up, and I was managing it from day one, and I was putting much more work in it than anyone else, so I can say that this is my baby. But we will not continue it with the spirit of psychobilly. We will continue it with the spirit that we just want and we just felt like.
Yeah.
So we just found the new members. We went on tour to the US. We made that gig. We also played the old songs, but already without double bass. We played it with normal bass and rewrote it a bit, but just a bit. And from that moment on, it was amazing. It was really cool. And when we come back to Europe, we just started to work on our new album, Astoria. And that's when everything started the way that I wanted to do. I always wanted to do. And every step of that new lineup and every step of the new music just went into the direction that makes me happy.
Yeah. it worked as well because straight up, we had never heard of the Hellfreaks before Astoria. So this reborn, re-energized Hellfreaks is the one that's certainly making the waves, it seems.
Yeah. I mean, of course, we got some negative feedback. That's why we're not doing psychobilly anymore. But it was not as far, like that feedback was not as far as big as the feedback of new people and also the old fans who said like, wow, this fits much more to you and we love it, especially with God on the Run, which we just released. It's amazing. We got a ton of awesome reviews. Like the average review out of 10 is 8, which is really, really good. And we have, like, we received reviews who are speaking about the album with the highest tones, and they have never heard about us before. So I think that everything that, sorry for saying it like that, but everything that sucked in the past makes sense now. And
it was worth it almost.
Yeah, totally. And especially like, I mean, I already hear the new songs that we started to work on, and it's really like, again, the next step from God on the Run. And now I feel that people are behind us and they support us and they totally understand why we are changing that. And our crowd is really not the one anymore who are saying, oh, it's not like the old one. They are much more like, oh, I can't wait what's going to be in the new one. And this is like, I mean, this is 10 years of work, what we put into it. But this is amazing. I think this is something super unique to have a fan base like that. And I'm super, super happy about it.
Yeah, now it's just a matter of getting beyond that point, I guess, where the old Hellfreaks is no longer even a conversation point, and you have enough work, a great body of work that's respected and loved, that's all anyone will focus on.
Yeah. I mean, for example, the first song we released from God on the Run, which is called Man in Grey, it's, I think, we just need like 10,000 more listeners or something like that on Spotify, and it's the song that have been listened ever the most of. You know, it's like, so even songs that are out since 10 years, like the stupid Boogeyman, I don't like Boogeyman at all. So even like Stupid Boogeyman is on the first place since years because it's out since 10 years. And Man in Grey is just so close to get the first place in our Spotify playlist. And I'm like super happy about that because it means that, yeah, we did a good job. That's exactly what we have to continue.
Yeah, you want that to take that first place because it's confirmation.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I'm doing a race against myself, so I know it's ridiculous. But it's always good if you like what you have in mind. It's also proven by the numbers.
yeah. Well, numbers unfortunately make the world go round, and particularly in our scene, be it playlists on Spotify and Apple or YouTube views. It's what matters.
It's important.
Yeah, because you're not going to be selling millions and millions of records. That's just not the way the world works anymore.
Yeah, I mean, especially I think that nowadays YouTube is so important. I mean, I'm not pointing my finger on them because I am the same. I'm just not buying an album without knowing what's on it.
Yeah.
It's because I know I'm a musician as well, so of course I know it's not fair. You're not making any money with Spotify and stuff like that. But as you can listen to the newest stuff with just one click, you will listen the newest stuff with just one click. And when it comes to discovering new music, there is nothing better than like the Spotify lists that are like recommended to you. And there is nothing better than the YouTube recommendation. And that's just how you are like getting to new music. I mean, of course, I don't want to say that I don't respect the old school way of music magazines and stuff like that. I mean, like the physical music. But I personally, I don't think that I haven't discovered any new bands by those kind of magazines. I always discover them by YouTube, by Spotify, or if any fan write me like, you should check this, and then I check them. So it's totally online. Everything is digital. That's how I discover music. And if I am doing like that, I'm sure that the average music listener, sorry for using that expression, but I'm sure they're doing even more like that.
Agreed. It's one of those where it's like you can't really critique it because you're in a band and you want those sales, but ultimately if you're doing it yourself, and we know that's how the world is.
Yeah. I mean, you can say that you're against it, but exactly that's how the world is.
Well, when we get our album submissions, because I do a lot of driving, I will I have a playlist where I'll take one track from said album, put it in our playlist, and go, right, that'll be not my decision of whether or not it gets reviewed, because we tried to review everything, but as a taster. And with you guys, off Gourd Off the Run, because I already knew you from Astoria, but like when you person has to review, you listen, and then you got to move on, so you forget. But with Gourd on the Run, it was Witch's Heel. So that was would that be the track? If you could say to someone who's got one click available, click on a Hellfreaks track to get an idea of what it'd be, what would you choose?
Man in Grey or Witch's Heel?
Yeah. I agree. They're, I think, great examples of where you're at in modern time.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, even Witch's Heel is a bit not like the other songs on the album, but on the other side it totally fits. It just has a little bit other kind of rhythm, but I think that it still sums it up what we are doing. I mean, it's again like rock music and a little bit punk rock and a little bit metal, but there is also that kind of voodoo beat, and there is the scream involved, but there is also a very, very metal guitar solo involved. So yeah, that sums it up, I think, quite good, what we are doing right now.
Yeah, and you've got a bit of a kick-ass video for it as well.
Thank you.
So what do you think is the biggest hurdle the Hellfreaks have right now in front of them to kind of stepping out of Europe? Because you are obviously very focused on just Europe, where the rest of the world perhaps aren't too aware.
Yeah, look, I think this is true for all the European bands, but to make it to the US, you have to be like really, really big. The thing is that it's not just that I mean, even the flight tickets and stuff like that is super expensive, but it's just not like you just go there and you music. You need special artist visas, and they cost a lot. Yeah. They're super expensive, and for that you need to be really, really big. So that's the only thing that holds us back. So the only thing that we can do is like to work on it and to work on it and to work on it harder. The only thing that changed a bit for us right now that I was thinking a longer time if it's okay if I talk about this or not, but I decided to be super transparent because maybe someone will hear it.
Okay.
Right now we are without a booking agency, and we are looking for a new partner. I did the booking by myself for like 9 years, but at that point it's just too much. I have to focus also on other things, and we need to find a good booking agency who is able, for example, what would be the next step for the Hellfreaks is to be a support band for bigger bands. Doesn't matter if in Europe or in the USA, I don't care where.
Yeah.
This is something that we would really need, and we would never be able to set up this by ourselves. For that, we need a booking agent.
Right, of course. And as much, I guess it's not even so much US, even trying to get to the UK where we are, same situation really, isn't it?
Yeah, like with the UK, it's a bit nerve-wracking because the thing is that we played a couple of times in the UK in the past.
Yeah.
We really wanted to go back with it because it's, I swear I got like at least one message per day, when are we coming to the UK? So there is definitely a big interest from the UK.
Yeah.
And it's just that I've read some articles that this year you can go and tour as a band, but from next year you also need an artist visa.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm not sure like how the artist visa will look. Maybe it's not a big deal. I mean, you don't know it. It doesn't have to be the same like in the US. But because of that, we decided to go on tour in the UK in the very beginning of December.
Yeah.
we started to book that, and but the problem is that now with the current situation, I am not sure if we are able to set it up because I mean, I'm not even a club owner, but it's totally understandable for me that now they have to decide who is gonna play at the club and who is not. I mean, they have to check it doubled.
Yeah.
And they have to make heavier decisions. And I totally understand if a club owner says like they will only book the bigger bands, which will bring like 100% full packed club, because they also like lost a lot of money this year. So I think especially for bands who are not that well known, it's going to be a very hard year. And if we are not going to play, we're not going to play. I mean, that's the situation, and this kind of situation is something that we can't change. It's not in our power. So maybe we're gonna play, maybe we're not gonna play. If we're not gonna play, we will of course still check the possibilities, because we want to play in the UK really, really much, and see how this turn out. I mean, there is no never. Maybe there is just a harder way, but I hope we will manage it.
It is as simple as a wait and see where we're at in 6, 9, 12 months time, basically.
Okay.
So you mentioned what would be useful would be going out as a support for other bands. What would be then your kind of ideal lineup where you were part of, and who do you think would fit quite nicely with the Hellfreaks?
Okay. For example, from the UK, I think, I mean, I'm also, of course, a huge fan of them, but I think we would fit quite cool with the Marmozets. I mean, the only thing that I'm afraid of that they are so good. I saw them in Berlin once, and I was blown away. I mean, they're so young and they are so good. Like,
yeah.
so maybe like marketing wise, it wouldn't be the best to play in front before them. But I don't know. I mean, people are saying that we're good as well, so maybe they're right. I don't know.
It's a wonderful fit. I would also think you would fit lovely on a bill with someone like the Distillers.
Of course. Yeah, I mean, look, like Brody Dale from the Distillers was always my idol. Not like attitude-wise, vocal-wise, like everything. She is like, for me, like the badass woman on stage. So it would be a dream. I mean, it was so funny because the show is not canceled yet, but I guess the show is going to be canceled. It was planned that the Distillers will play in Berlin at the beginning of June. And, of course, I found out who their booking agent here in Europe is. And immediately I wrote them an email that if there is any chance if we could play there. But unfortunately, I did not get any answer. But on the other side, I have concert tickets for them. So I hope that they're going to play and do the show, because even just to see her is, for me, something amazing.
Yeah.
But I think that we would also fit to metal bands. Like, for example, before Infected Rain, I think that would be a perfect fit. Because they are, of course, they are much more metal than we are.
Yeah.
But they are also doing modern metal. And I think that the audience that they have would totally accept the kind of music that we do, because it's also punk with metal, what we are doing. So that would fit also really good. And to dream really, really big.
Yeah.
I did not came up with the idea by myself. But when I've read the reviews from God on the Run, it was said so often that somehow we sound like Billy Talent. And I'm like, that was kind of my same reaction. Like, okay, I like Billy Talent. I mean, they are awesome. So I would love to play before Billy Talent. I mean, they're a blast. They're amazing. So yeah. What else? Would love to play before Rise Against. I don't know. This list could be really wrong.
Yeah, so. I think it would be. So what does right now the rest of 2020 look like, at least in regards to the writing and the releasing of music?
I mean, like we did our biggest hit. We released God on the Run. So whatever we do is not going to be that big this year. I hope that, I mean, there is also a quite chance for that we will finish songs for a full new album. And if we finish that, I mean, if we finish the writing process, it still doesn't mean that we're going to release it this year.
Of course, yeah. Might be a bit too soon.
Yeah, sure. But in that case, it would be like we would be ready for the next year, at least with that part. And then and there is also another thing. I'm not sure that if we can work out that there is a quite chance that we will do a quite unusual video for a quite unusual song of our album. I will not say more because I don't know if this will work out or not. But there is like that one more project, that video project. And the other thing is, of course, to find a new booking agency.
Yep. Very, very important.
I think this is the year plan for now. But like the beginning of this year was, I worked my ass off. Yeah. Actually, as I said, I have the normal job. Everything that I do for the band is after I go home, or which is in the evening, which is instead of sleeping, instead of that. And I've done a crazy amount of interviews, like written interviews in the last 3 months because of the new album. I did a lot of, I mean, we have PR agents, but even though by myself I had to do stuff for promoting the album. And so it was the last 3 months for me was way more about the office work of the band. And which is also fun, but now I'm like super happy that I can do, for example, video interviews like this because I enjoy them so much more, because I think they are so much more interesting, and I think that also people are so much more into it. So I'm super thankful that we can do this today. And also I'm super happy that I can now focus on writing new songs and writing new lyrics, and I'm just learning new vocal techniques again. And that's, I mean, of being a musician or a singer, this is like the fun part. So I'm happy that I can now focus on that. But of course, like, you have to do everything. But the beginning of the year wasn't about that. It was about the office work. And now it's good. Now it's about the creativity again, which makes fun.
I think the most important thing, hopefully, people can take away from this is that, unlike a lot of bands, where everyone's had to stop dead because they can't get out live and all that, with the Hellfreaks, although you can't go out and play, you're not stopping. It's still continuing, be it social media interaction, writing, and so on. The train's still moving. It's just slowed down a bit.
I mean, like, I think for our web fan base is really spread worldwide. We have really, like, for other bands, I know that, I don't know, like, mostly the fan base, the core of the fan base is always in the country where the band is from. Now, this is not the case with the Hellfreaks. We don't have a core market. It's really spread worldwide. So even when we go on tour, I think that they often don't feel as much as activities around the band when compared to that what I can do right nowadays, because I'm doing much more interaction on social media, so I can talk to them much more. I can react to their questions and to anything that happens much more. So at least I'm not afraid that they think that we disappeared, because we did not disappear. We have even more interaction on our channels. And as I said, that as our fans are spread worldwide, I think that they just feel that it's even more than it normally is.
Yeah.
What we prove them. Yeah.
Brilliant. So thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate you doing this.
Thank you very much. It was super fun, and you're anytime into an interview, just let me know. I'm there. I'm happy to do this.
Thank you very much for watching. You can check us out on gbhbl.com, as well as on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Tumblr. Go to Patreon to help us out over there. That's patreon.com/GBHBL, as well as Big Cartel, where you can find some of our merchandise. We have a podcast running on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. And of course, if you like this video, do us a favour, hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow. Games, horror, and heavy metal. What else is life for?